Hi guys, thanks a lot for joining me. It's great to have you here, and the discussion today is all about some high-end makeup that really surprised me. I mean, sometimes going into buying a product, we think, okay, I know how this is going to work. I'm getting it because I think I'm going to like it. But then, you know, it kind of pulls a 180 on you and it does something unexpected. And with a couple of these, there were situations where I got the product and I swatched it out and I thought, oh no, I'm going to hate this. And then it turned out to be a really great thing once I applied it on my skin. So it's just funny how products can surprise you, and I've got both good and bad surprises in this video. So I think I'm going to start off with the things that were kind of happy surprises and stuff that I was a little bit questionable about, but I turned out to love it. These first couple of things I had ordered from MAC. I ordered them because I really hoped I'd like them, and then I remember getting one of these home and swatching it out and thinking, oh dear Lord, you know, this is going to be awful. And it's this soft serve shadow in the shade called Bounce Around, and so it's in this little glass jar. It's almost kind of like a paint pot, but when you look at the product in there, it's very like spongy and light seeming, and this color really does look beautiful. It's like a taupe, maybe there's a hint of a little bit of a lilac thing going on in there, but it's just insanely sparkly, right? And so I was looking up close to that and I thought, you know, all the flecks of shimmer, I was expecting it to be a little less on the sparkle side and more of a full color, full bodied, you know, cream shadow type thing. So I did not have high hopes of it once I swatched it, but I have applied this kind of like as a little bit of a lid pop with several different looks, and every time I have incorporated this into a look, I have loved it, and the staying power has been far better than expected. I have not had like little fallout all over my cheeks at the end of the day. I mean, it's really hung on there and continued to look beautiful for a full day. And like I said, it's an interesting texture. It's kind of bouncy. It reminds me a little bit of one of those Maybelline Dream Bouncy blushes, you know? It almost feels like there's hollowness under there, although I don't think there is. It's just the way that shadow feels. So the way I've applied this, by the way, is just with my finger. Another thing from MAC is this mineralized blush in the shade Warm Soul. And I was just kind of browsing the website one day, and I remember laying eyes on this and thinking, you know, I couldn't remember specifically who I'd heard talk about it, but I felt like I'd heard this name of a blush tossed around quite a bit here on YouTube. And so I thought maybe it's worth a try. You know, I'm interested in trying out some new blushes. And as soon as I got it home, I opened it up and I thought, no, you know, it's just going to be one of those things that's barely there, barely showing up on my cheeks. I mean, at a glance, just seeing it in person, again, I'm ordering this off the website, but seeing it in person, I just thought it was going to be one of those do-nothing blushes. But it is the most surprising look on the cheeks. I'm wearing it on my cheeks today. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like it's a really bright, super bold blush, but it definitely is doing something for me there, you know? It's really giving a pretty glow, first off, but it's offering quite a bit of color, I feel like. So I love this shade, and I wouldn't have expected to like it as much as I do. Let's talk Nars for a second. This is a product I did not choose for myself because it was sent to me by Nars, you know, PR, whatever, and it's the Long Hot Summer palette. And I love it because I love that Keith Urban song, "It's gonna be a long hot summer." Cut. I do love that song, but this eye palette really shocked me because I think it's the first Nars eyeshadow product that I've really enjoyed. That being said, I've not tried like just standard Nars singles and duos really that you would just pick up at a Sephora or something like that. Everything I've tried has been some sort of a special palette. I wasn't that impressed with the big like Narcissus palette when that came out a few years ago. Really did not like at all that dual intensity eye palette. This thing though, when I swatched these shades and when I used them, I thought, wow, there's a softness to these. There's a really nice smoothness and pigmentation, and I actually really like the color selection too. So it was really working on all accounts for me. There are 4 shades in here labeled Long Hot Summer 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm guessing those are like limited edition and created for this palette. And then you've got Bellissima 2 and Bengali. But this was just a happy little surprise because mainly it's been a texture thing and a pigmentation thing for me with Nars shadows. And maybe they're putting lesser quality stuff in palettes. I don't know. Some brands do that. But I've gotten a lot of just quick and easy looks with this palette. I'm wearing this shade in the crease, this kind of matte, cool, grayish color, and a little bit of this on the outside, this on the lid. I also blended both of these shades kind of as a transition type color there, and I I also smudged these two on the lower lash line. So my look today is really a mix of all of these tones, but if you just glance at the palette, you could see you could get a very cool look just using the top row or a warmer brownish look on the bottom. And these are just really pretty shades here if you're into the rose gold, little bit coppery type colors. These are beautiful. Another Nars thing that was sent to me that I did not expect to like because, as I said, I didn't like the dual intensity eyeshadow palette, but they've come out with this Narcissist dual intensity cheek palette, and this seems to work quite well for me. I mean, just putting a brush in. Now I will say I think synthetic brushes for whatever reason seem to pick this product up a little better, or more dense brushes might be the difference in what I was seeing there. But you've got like a highlight shade, this soft kind of golden peach, a really pretty rich pink, and then this deeper neutral. And it's like they've all got a certain amount of sheen, but they don't come off overboard on my cheeks. Even the highlight doesn't seem like it's too crazy. But I don't know if it's just the fact that these colors really suit me or what, but I've just been happy with them quality-wise. You know, how easily they go on the cheeks. I don't feel like I have to work hard with them, but at the same time, I don't feel like I have to hold back big time either. It's not something I have to be extremely careful with. And it is nice that it's a blush palette plus a highlight. But considering how much I dislike the dual intensity eye palette, I was really shocked that I like that as much as I did. Another thing that I just kind of bought on a whim, I was really curious about it. I didn't know that I'd love it because setting powders are tricky. Let's just face it. Sometimes they can make you look way too dry. Sometimes there's too much thickness for what they are, you know, just a light setting powder on the skin. And this thing seemed to be a nice happy medium, and I like that it's a 2-in-1 product, and it's from Bare Minerals, and it's the Translucent Powder Duo. And so in here, you're getting 2 pressed powders. One is matte, and one says glow. And you can kind of see that the matte one is a completely flat, white-looking powder, and the glow has swirls of like a peachy tone in there. But these are interesting because when I first, again, swatched them and passed my judgment on the product, I thought, I don't see a lot of product coming off there. What is this really going to do on my skin? But it does have a nice lightweight texture. And so just experimenting with this a time or two and using the matte shade, you know, a little bit on the under eye, using the glowy shade somewhat on top of the cheeks, I thought, okay, this can be kind of perfecting. And I really love having both options in one. And really, if a powder is looking all out white in a compact, you know, I'm not gonna want that to transfer off, you know, a whole lot with a lot of white pigmented intensity. I'm gonna want that to be light and kind of like just a sheer pressed powder. And that's what that is. It definitely has the capability of mattifying, but it has the invisibility factor, I guess, on the skin is what I'm trying to say. And the glow is really pretty too. I've added some of that like on top of my cheeks today. So this was kind of a cool product, and I wish more brands would maybe think about doing that combo thing with a setting powder where you've got 2 finishes in one. Another thing where I nearly didn't buy this product, okay? I thought I've got enough Too Faced palettes, you know, this is just another Too Faced palette thrown into the mix. I don't even think I'm interested, but I went ahead and did it. And let me say, it came with stickers. And so I went nuts with the stickers. This is the Totally Cute palette. You might think that that's straight up junior high mode there, but I love it. I don't care. This was an online order, hadn't seen it in a store anywhere, so there always is kind of that element of surprise when you order something online. But the shades in here are all really, really consistent, very nice quality. You've got a row of just very basic mattes up here. Bunny Foo Foo, Chocolate Donut, Double Scoop. That makes a really pretty, just on its own neutral look. But I love the shades that they chose to put in here for the pops as well. And I kind of tend to like a palette that gives me something a little bit unexpected, or might potentially make me go out of my comfort zone. This might be something that you look at and you think, well, oh, I've already got green shadows, or I've already got pink shadows, and I'm loaded with neutrals, so I don't need it. That was sort of my mentality and what almost led me to not buy it, but I am glad I did, because something about having them all together in the convenience of a palette, you know, I've used the green in different looks, I've used the pink. This Storm Cloud shade is like a very deep teal, and that makes a really interesting liner look. And all of these highlights, this is really unique, this shade called Unicorn, because it's got this sort of, I don't know, pinky iridescence to it. The mattes, Too Faced does mattes really, really well, and so I enjoyed that they had just some basic mattes in this, along with the fun pops of color. And the last thing that surprised me in a positive way, and I've talked about this before in my Best in Beauty video, I've written a blog about these, it's the Anastasia lip glosses. I mean, I did not expect that I would love these as much as I do. I didn't think I was gonna totally dislike them. It was just a situation where I hoped they'd be decent, and they turned out to be like my new favorite lip gloss formula, period, across the board. So I've been so happy with them. Check out the blog post. That's probably the most informative thing I've done on these, because I tried them all on and pictures there. But in a nutshell, I think it's a wonderful formula that feels super comfortable on the lips, yet it's completely full color. I love the applicator and the precision I can get even with bold shades. I'm wearing one of these today. This is in the shade called Caramel or Caramel. Great neutrals in this kit. You've got a pink in here, a shade with some shimmer, a couple of berry colors, but even just once this kit is no longer available, I just think this is a solid lip gloss formula that I'm gonna wanna buy more from and just look into further. Okay, how about the things that surprised me in a bad way? Things that I kind of had a higher expectation for, maybe an assumption that they would work so much better. Just got 4 things here, but I don't know. I'm gonna share them with you. First up, we have this Makeup Forever Water Blend Foundation. This was sent to me by Makeup Forever, and I didn't really have a lot of expectation going in terms of having heard a lot of positive stuff about it. I got it, I think, very early on with their launch. And I've heard about more products coming out these days that are a little bit more concentrated. Like you think about the Cover FX custom cover drops that can be added to a foundation. They're like total liquid, but yet they're really full coverage concentrated type stuff. And I guess that's what I thought this was gonna be like. Something that managed to be really thin, lightweight feel, but a very concentrated coverage level. Instead, I really should have taken that water word literally, because this is so thin, it's so light on the skin. It might be what a perfect skinned person is after, just for a little added something on there, because it does kind of leave a pretty finish. It's not overly glowy, it's not 100% matte either. It's kind of a beautiful middle ground where that's concerned. But if you've got any discoloration on your skin, any problems you want to cover up, like, you're just going to end up layering and layering a lot of concealer on top of this to take care of it, because this just does nothing coverage wise. So much for thinking that it was going to be some like power packed, super concentrated type liquid foundation, because it just didn't turn out to be that way. It's extremely, extremely light. Another kind of coverage disappointment was this Estee Lauder Double Wear Waterproof All Day Extreme Wear Concealer. If that doesn't sound like something that's right up my alley, I don't know what is. I love all things double wear. Double wear products from Estee Lauder tend to have amazing coverage, wonderful staying power. I enjoy the different foundations, but this concealer, which I have in the shade 2C Light Medium Cool, it didn't cover enough for me. And I can't really critique the staying power so much, because I do feel that it lasted on me, but it's much more thin than I expected, and I almost think this needs just a little more thickness to have that double wear type coverage that I've come to expect. I think if you've got really dark circles, if you've got discolored, age spots, sunspots on your skin, this is not the type of thing that can really full on tackle that. It definitely doesn't come anywhere close to having the coverage of the Double Wear Maximum Cover foundation that I've talked about before, that can take on melasma with just, brush it on and boom, you're good. It needs to be worked with more. It needs to be kind of built up more to get the maximum out of it, and even then, I'm not super satisfied. And another thing that surprised me so much is that I have another concealer from Estee Lauder that I purchased not quite so recently, and it's from their Perfectionist line, and it's got like a serum type, almost concealer primer type side to it, and then a stick concealer on the other end. And I feel like this covers better than this, and it's a Perfectionist product, which the Perfectionist foundation seems to be more lightweight, lighter coverage on the skin, more natural looking, and I wouldn't have thought that this concealer would satisfy me so much more from a coverage perspective than a Double Wear concealer, so that shocked me. Let's talk about this random purchase that I had. It's a Dior eyeshadow palette in Amber Nuit, N-U-I-T. It looks like shades that are just right up my alley. I think I was browsing Nordstrom's website and I just thought, oh, that looks beautiful. You know, I loved the packaging design. I love that kind of quilted look to the eyeshadows. And online, I mean, the shades struck me even more. I don't know if they look deeper, richer on there. When I got it, I kind of thought, okay, I feel like I've got a ton of things that look like this. And then when I swatched it, I thought, these are weak shadows. What's going on? This says Dior on it. And I've tried things from various drugstore brands recently that could outperform this in terms of a full coverage, colorful shadow. So the situation is this. Can I get a good eye look with this palette? Something that will look pretty, something that people would think, oh, that looks nice. Sure. But did I expect way, way more for the money that was spent? Absolutely. And when I was thinking about, you know, these new L'Oreal little quads that I had reviewed last week, thinking about the texture of those and then these, if there was some kind of blind swatch test going on, I don't know how you'd pull that off, but just looking at the color payoff and the texture, just the softness and feel, those certainly impressed me more than this. And they were just a fraction of the price. So I don't know, is there something out there better from Dior that I'm missing that I really should have tried instead of this? Let me know. Now, Benefit has launched a crap ton of brow products for every teeny tiny purpose a person could need. And there are some things that I thought, okay, that's probably going to work for me. Different pencils they put out, you know, I thought they'd work. They did, you know, they're nice products. Couple of things that I thought would be very, very gimmicky and not too useful. Yep, that's kind of what they turned out to be. But something that did surprise me from that line was this Ready Set Brow, and that's just their clear brow gel. I thought, you know, okay, that's a practical need for the brows, is some kind of clear gel that anybody, you know, regardless of hair color or what they need with their brows, everyone can use something clear to set them and keep them in place all day. But this gel, like, it's supercharged and it's almost in an over-the-top kind of way. First off, when you take the brush out, like, it's the first brow gel I've seen where there is a lot of excess on the wand, and I think you do need to kind of get rid of some of that. And then you can see there's two flat sides. If I hold it this way, it looks totally flat. And then you've got your bristles, shorter bristles and longer bristles. And even when I have really cleaned off the brush, I feel like my brows, which there's a lot of hair in these brows, I feel like they are overloaded with product. And after about 5-10 minutes of this sitting on my brows, they feel hard and crusty. And I remembered being out one day and randomly touched my brow, and I thought, is there something on my brow that people can see? Like, what's happening there? It was just a stiffness, and I found myself picking out these little chunks of the gel that had dried in there, and I thought I cleaned off my brush. You know, it shouldn't take that much work. Please let me do you a favor, save you some money. Go to the NYX section, look for a product called Control Freak Brow Gel. The brush is never overloaded. It deposits just the perfect amount of brow gel in your brows, and it holds like none other with no unusual texture. But this, I thought, you know, how are they going to screw up clear brow gel? But this is just not my style. And that, my friends, wraps up all of my high-end beauty surprises that I have encountered recently. I was really thinking I could probably do this with some drugstore stuff too, because there have been some drugstore things that really, like, whoa, how did that work out that way? But I do want to make sure you know none of the things in this video were just a first impression type thing. I think it was kind of the anti-first impression, because my first impressions failed me on these products. The things I thought initially about these items did not prove to be true, and it was after multiple uses of both the things that I liked and I didn't like that I really came to the realizations that I ended up with here. So I hope this helped you out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.